Well, breakups can be emotionally draining, and for people who are ending things with a narcissist, saying goodbye can be a challenge. But knowing what to expect can help. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Erin LeBeau.
And I'm Tamsin Fidel. Well, leaving a narcissist can be a painful process depending on how the other person reacts. One psychiatrist is helping people through the steps with her TikTok videos. Dr. Judith Joseph joining us now with her tips to cope after a divorce or breaking up with a narcissist. Nice to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start on. I've seen a lot of your videos, and you talk about this. After a breakup, a former partner may ask you not to tell anybody out of respect for their privacy. And it sounds innocent enough, right? But how can this go terribly wrong?
It's really important to realize that narcissistic people really care about their self-image, how they're perceived. And so when they ask you not to talk about the relationship, it's more so to protect themselves. But this can backfire because behind your back, they'll go and tell everyone their version of what happened, their twisted narrative. And that leaves you feeling unsupported and exposed and also betrayed.
Okay, so if this happens to someone, what can they do?
It's really important to make sure you have allies, that you talk to your family, they talk to your friends. In these type of toxic relationships, the partner will discourage this. They'll say, your friends are jealous of me. Don't tell them this, don't tell them that. And it's really a tactic to divide and conquer so that they have you all to themselves and that they maintain the power and control. And, you know, when this happens to people, you feel ashamed, so you don't want to talk about it. That shame can actually hurt you. It's important to share when you're feeling hurt and you're feeling exploited in a relationship, because that way you get support.
Yeah, I can imagine feeling very isolating too. So is it worth it to try to get your side of the story out there, or do you just kind of say, I'm going to let it go and walk away?
We have to remember that a lot of people with narcissistic personality disorder can be very aggressive. So on a case-by-case basis, you have to be careful. In cases of domestic violence, you want to consult with, domestic violence support groups or specialists, or even sometimes law enforcement. In other cases, it's really important, if you know the person's not violent, to reach out to your family and friends for help. Again, when people mistreat you, you feel ashamed, so you don't talk about what's happening, but it's really important to get support.
All right, expanding on that, you just mentioned a narcissist can get aggressive after a breakup. What are some examples, and how can someone protect themselves?
In my practice, I've seen so many cases of people using pets as tools of manipulation. And, people know that, with a pet, it's almost like a bond, like having a child. And so when you're deciding to leave a narcissist, you have to think about the things in your household that you share that are really a sentimental value to you, including your pets, and think about getting out safely before, that narcissist can use those objects against you.
Yeah, you really have to have a plan there. So let me ask you this. Another possible situation is if you have an ex that gets passive aggressive, which we hear about a lot. So what would that look like, and then what can you do about it?
In some of these relationships, you share finances, you share credit cards, you share bills. And I've seen cases where people will do passive aggressive things like they won't pay a bill on time to ruin both of your credit. Remember, narcissists really care about how they're viewed. And if they feel shame because you left them, they don't care. They're going to burn the house down. If it ruins your credit and it ruins theirs, they don't care. They just want to hurt you.
Okay, so after breaking it off with a narcissist, you might be thriving, but your ex may be still trying to hold you down. So is it possible to escape that negativity, and can it ever be dangerous?
It can be dangerous. And, with narcissistic love, the person views you as an object. And if their bright and shiny object looks even brighter without them, that can be enraging. And so they may stalk you online. They may create ghost accounts and try to, troll you. So you have to be prepared for these things when you're dealing with someone this toxic.
All right, so let me ask you this, because I think this is the ultimate question. How do you know if you're actually getting involved with a narcissist to begin with? Are they marriage material? I would say not, right?
They can be quite charming and also very good looking. Remember, these are people that thrive on being praised.
Sure.
And they feel entitled. And so they really do go after people who, at first they love bomb. And that's a fancy way of saying they'll shower you with presents, they'll, treat you well, they'll talk you up in front of your family and friends. They'll win everyone over, but it's all a manipulation, because remember, they really care about themselves. Yep. So, eventually that table will turn and they'll start to belittle you and disparage you. And then you feel that, negative cycle of abuse.
So since they are all about themselves, is it possible to change them?
You know, in my practice, I've seen very few cases of people who say, I'm a narcissist and I want help. And usually in those cases, you know, they're at this crossroad where they're either going to lose their family, their job, there's something dire happening. But in most cases, you know, if you can get away with this behavior and be entitled and grandiose and mistreat people and you enjoy it, then you're not going to change.
Dr. Joseph, thanks for being with us. I think so much important information, and we're hearing that word more and more these days. To follow your tips and to see your social media videos on the topic, you can follow online at Dr. Judith Joseph on TikTok and also Instagram. Nice to have you.